McAfee wants you to not be the MPV, the most promising victim. There is a new set of attacks that are well prepared, highly targeted, and customized specifically against the victims. Traditionally, ransomware attacks are mass spread attacks where adversaries try to infect many victims at the same time and cash out quickly. Today, this has changed. Now, victims are infected with several different kinds of malware before the actual ransomware attack takes place. Adversaries appear to be using the infection base to select or purchase the most promising victims for further exploitation and ransomware. Who has the most money? Who has the most easily found critical assets? Who would likely view business continuity as their number one concern? After all, some companies have business continuity as a secondary concern. Think places like defense contractors. They'll just reimage the machines, no problem. Recent examples of these MPV attacks occurred in late 2019 in Spain, forcing organizations to take immediate actions like paying significant amounts or shutting businesses and grinding them to a halt. These new attack methods use existing malware tools, which is common, but they have used a very novel process to identify and attack the MPV, the most promising victim. Let's take a look at how it's done. The user gets tricked through social engineering to go to a malicious URL that points to a compromised legitimate website. The user is tricked into downloading an application through something like a fake updater page. Once the adversary gets you to the fake updater page, they socially engineer you again to apply the update. The fake updater then uses frameworks like PowerShell Empire to download and install Dridex malware. This technique will work with a lot of similar malware such as Azeroth or Zeus VM. The adversary uses these tools for remote access into the victim's network to do reconnaissance. The point is that they aren't using Dridex to steal banking information. Dridex in this case is an advanced scout, used to figure out what's happening in the neighborhood that they are in, snooping around to determine essential information about the organization, to determine the most promising victim. At this point, one or more machines are infected, and the next step of the attack is to collect as many credentials as possible so that the adversary can move laterally. They'll often use mimikatz to collect high-privilege credentials. From here, the attack uses PowerShell Empire to pivot inside the victim network, to move to different machines using the stolen credentials, and to find specific folders inside the victim network, such as Exchange folders and SQL folders. Bitpaymer is the final stage of the attack. By this time, the attacker knows their victim and can build a custom binary for each victim that includes the LeetSpeak name of the victim as the file extension for the encrypted files. The ransomware note also uses the name of the company. So what did we learn? We learned that Dridex and other commodity malware is being repurposed for cyber espionage prior to a targeted ransomware attack. They use toolkits and frameworks and binaries over and over in new and novel ways. This is just one example. The attack was customized based on the espionage in order to pick the most promising victim. Who has the most money? What does the company do? What are the company's most valuable assets and intellectual property? The binary of Bitpaymer is especially prepared for each target, using the extension name and company name of the target and encrypting things of greatest importance and urgency to the victim. Organizations must not ignore indicators of activity from malware like Dridex, Azeroth, or NetSupport. They could be a first indicator of other malicious activity to follow. Organizations should investigate and cross-correlate these indicators to stop them and to watch for other related malicious activity to follow. We must find a way to automate the mechanisms for doing this. The basic rule here is that cybersecurity advances when you increase the number of important things, like checking for commodity malware detections and cross-correlating them across your industry or geography, that you can do without explicitly thinking about them or taking action upon them. What if you had a solution to do this? What if you had a solution that did the 3 Ps: prioritize, predict, and prescribe? Proactively scan and prioritize based on IOCs from well-known attacks and campaigns. Uses technologies that can validate when countermeasures in your industry sector or geography are encountering significant activity from these commodity attacks. Second P, predict. Predict impact upon your countermeasures. You need to know whether your compensating controls, your countermeasures, can detect and stop these attacks. I am not talking about vulnerability analysis. Notice that the attack we just described has nothing to do with vulnerabilities and exploits. It involves social engineering and users with administrative authority to detonate objects on their devices. Therefore, you need to look at the impact on your countermeasures, not just where you have unpatched systems. You can be fully patched and this attack would still have succeeded. The emphasis must be on your compensating controls. Lastly, prescribe changes. This means that the technology you use should tell you that if you can't detect Dridex or Empire or Mimikatz, exactly what you need to do in order to change it so that you can. These 3 Ps can be found in MVision Insights. Check it out. Thank you for attending our session today.